Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video. This one is for Off the Board with Pineapple Papers. This is my pin from Pinterest. It's this super cute layery digital sketch by Christine Wiles, or Kaylee Wiles, I'm sorry. I just found that layout and she has a whole bunch like them. I really love how layery they are, and even though they're digital, I really wanted to try and recreate it in a real layout kind of format. Ends up not looking nearly as cute as what she did, but I was really inspired by all the different layers and all the different pieces of like different elements she used. So I'm gonna try and do my best. Really does not look as layery as hers did by the end, but I am working with kind of the bare end of my kit for this month, so I'm trying to just work with the scraps that I have. I really didn't want to pull in anything extra. So this is kind of what happened. I do have this nice chunk left of this orange paper, so I'm thinking that'll be the larger layer in the middle with the photos. I did just map my photos together and then glue them on this giant doily from Allie. I've really loved these giant doilies, and it was perfect to kind of mimic the original. So now that that's down, I'm pulling in my background. I also have been hoarding this background for all month long. I really love the rainbow stripe, but the backside is this beautiful mint polka dot, and I really needed something more toned down in order to do all the layery stuff I wanted to do. So I decided to actually use the mint side of that paper, but because that large orange layer is covering up so much of it, I will gut it and use the rainbow stripe, which is the A side of that mint paper, as a layer once I kind of get going, because I definitely wanted to use the rainbow part of that paper at some point this month. But before I get there, I'm just starting with some of the layers. I had one more jumbo tag in my kit left, so I went ahead and decided to pull that in. I'm inking everything in my Catherine Pooler ink, including that little hole reinforcer I inked in the stone blue. And now I'm just trying to create some layers. I sped this up a lot because I have a lot of voiceovers to do today, and I just don't think I can physically talk for as long as they all were. So I apologize. This is a little bit faster speed than my normal process video, but hopefully it's still enjoyable to view. I'll try to slow them down a little bit after this, but I'm not used to how fast it is. It's kind of weird. But here I'm gutting that mint paper, and you can see the back side of that is that rainbow, so I will pull that in a little bit. I am going to go ahead and matte the backing where that hole is with this plain piece of black. That's just cheap paper from the page protectors that I put my books in. So I have like hundreds of those, so I like to use those to fill in the gaps to try to keep the page more sturdy. But yeah, so here's a rainbow paper. I definitely wanted to use that as a layer, so I'm adding that in top and bottom of the orange piece. And again, I'm inking that in that blue ink, and then I'm going to go in. I still have a piece from the kind of rainbow ombre that I was so obsessed with in this kit, and it's the side of the paper that has the yellowy green. So I think that will be really pretty as a layer as well. I really, for whatever reason, I think this green and that orange look really nice together. So I layered up those two pieces, and then I kind of wanted an additional layer, but I didn't want to really cover up too much more of that rainbow stripe. So what I decided to do was pull in a scrap piece of vellum from my stash, and it blended in too much, so I decided to ink the vellum as well in this blue ink. It looks really cool, but I will end up adding another layer, and that's kind of how I got around wanting to add more layers but not cover up the pretty paper. It's really just a game now of trying to add more and more layers. I wanted some of the horizontal bits. It looks like in the original there's like branding strips, like multiple branding strips running behind those pieces, but the branding strips that I had left to use were the same papers that I already had on here, and I really wanted different papers to be those scraps. So I did pull in a tiny piece of the heart paper and the navy paper and I only had little bits of those to use, but I only needed tiny bits to kind of create that long horizontal look. So that's all I'm doing now, is trimming those up, inking those as well to create that extra layery detail. I do want to add, I just keep referring back to that sketch, and I just loved how layery it was. So I'm really trying to think because I really have used most of the scraps now from this collection, what I can add that's not going to be too distracting. I think for a while I panic because this is another thing I've been hoarding all month. This beautiful wood veneer cut piece from Redefine Creative that says love you, and I really wanted to get that on this page as well, but I didn't really leave myself enough room for it, and I didn't want it to just be tacked on because I think it's a really pretty piece. I want it to shine. So what I decided to do was go through some of my Happy Mail from Ronnie, and she had a couple word die cuts, and there's a white one that says happy, which I thought was perfect. So I decided I could tuck that in as a layer. This is where I pull in the vellum, and you kind of see how it is now. It just blends in. You really don't see it. But I decided to ink that in the blue ink as well. And now once I put it behind there, it's kind of cool. You get this floating looking blue frame because the vellum is still pretty transparent, but it gives you a really cool look. So I'm going to go ahead and get that glued down as well. And I just like the addition of that extra little layer. But it's not too distracting. So that's, once I get it glued down, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. I just think that looks real cool. I love the color too. I don't know if I'd already mentioned it this month, or maybe it's in my next, it might be in my wrap up video actually that I mentioned it, but I've already ordered more ink pads because I realized this month using this blue ink pad that Christina included that I just have really enjoyed using color ink pads. That was my problem, as I only had brown and black. So I can't wait till those get here. But I really like how that looks on the vellum. And now I'm pretty happy with my layering. So now I'm going in with my floral pieces. I feel like I've used a ton of these floral pieces all month long, and I still have so much. You just get a ton in that die cut pack, but I definitely didn't want them to go to waste, so I'm really going to pile them on this page. I still have some left over. I still think I squeeze in one more layout after this with this collection, but I'm really trying to pile them up. I really want to get that super layery look. I kind of have to play with the balance though, because it got to the point where there were just flowers everywhere and there weren't any cohesive clusters, and it just it just looked like, it reminds me of when Chanel has this wonderful video about how to cluster embellishment, and she calls it the sticker sneeze, which is when you kind of put stickers all over the page and not in clusters, and it just kind of looks, your eye doesn't know where to go, versus clustering them in little mini clusters where they're super layery, but they're not all over the page. And that's what it was reminding me of. Like, it looked like I had a flower sneeze on my page because they were just everywhere and not in little clusters. So I just have to toy with that as I get going. What am I inking now? Oh, that word. It was kind of distracting me that it was white. I thought it would be fine because I have the tag and the doily, and but once I started layering more and more, I really needed it to stand up a little bit more. So I inked that happy die cut in that ink pad as well. So I like that too because it matches the ink on the rest of the page, which is nice. But I'm just going to tuck that back up there, and you can see I'm starting a little floral cluster behind the title. And so now you can see what I'm going for. I'm thinking these will be my 3 embellishment clusters that kind of create this visual triangle. The one to the lower left of the cluster, the one to the upper photos, the one to the upper right of the photos, and the one up by the title. I decided here, this got kind of messy. I wanted to go ahead and thread my tag with some twine, but I didn't really have any colored twine that I was really wanting to use. So I decided to also ink the twine with that ink pad as well. So I just did that really quick, and now the twine also coordinates perfectly with the ink on the rest of the page. But this is where it gets a little hairy. I have my 3 embellishment clusters. I'm going in and adding, I think, a die or a cut apart there. But I have so many florals, and I just want to do more because I thought I was done. And then I looked back at my inspiration layout, and hers were just, it was so beautiful and layery, and I just wanted mine to be more layery. So I just kept adding more flowers. So it takes a minute for me to play around with what amount is the right amount and where my clusters will look good and not too all over the place. You can see because I added the cut apart on the photo that says love grows here, I really wanted to use kind of that coordinating heart banner in the upper right hand corner, but there's just too much going on. There's too much embellishment around the whole page and they're not like concise clusters, so I'll end up removing that and focusing more on my clusters that I have. So that's kind of how I decided to do that. But I love how many floral layers are on here. Do I finish? I might actually get the rest of the florals on here. Let me look at this last page I did. Yeah, I'm getting all the florals left on this page. So I don't know. I didn't want any of those left over, and I thought it could make a really cool impact if I really got them all on here. And then another thing I like to do, and I've mentioned it before, when I want my photo to look more layery, but I don't want to add another distracting element, is I tuck a glassine bag behind some layers, just because, again, it's transparent like the vellum, but it really gives you some cool texture, and it's just an extra layer. And I love doing that when I have vellum on the page, because the glassine bags and the vellum play off really well with each other. So I did just go ahead and tuck that in there. It's really subtle, but I think it fills out kind of the blank area of that jumbo tag. And now I'm just going in and trying to finish out putting all of these florals down. So this is another reason I sped this video up a lot. I know it seemed super fast while I was doing the photo layering, but I remember I spent a long time trying to place all of these florals. So I guess it could have just sped up this part, but then I thought it would be weird, maybe the first part of the video being slower and then this part being super fast. So that's what happened. But now I have all the florals down, and I just wanted a finishing touch. So I pulled in these really cute little like glass beads. They look like water droplets. I love them. I got them from Redefine Creative, and I just thought they'd look really sweet with all these florals, because this just looks like such a springy layout, and actually was, I think, April, May, so it was spring, so I feel like it's very on theme to make it a springy layout. But I'm just using my Nuvo glue to glue those down, and then I think I'm almost done. I really don't think I need to journal. It's pretty obvious. I'm just hanging out at my sister's with her two sons, so that's Avery and Bennett. And here are the close-ups. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out the description for everyone else playing along with Off the Board with Pineapple Papers, and I will see you in the next process video. Bye.